Hello, welcome to Transitions to Life, How to Make Meals. Today we're going to learn how to make one-pan pasta. Before I came into the kitchen, the first thing I did was wash my hands with soap and water and make sure that my surface is clean. As we're looking at making pasta, there are many different steps and many different decisions you can make. You get to make this any way you want. But let's look at some of the choices we might have. To start with, what kind of pasta do we want to use? I have tube pasta or penne pasta, bow tie pasta, rotelli or spiral pasta. You can also use whole wheat pasta or spinach pasta or whatever pastas are out there that intrigue you. You can use those in your pasta dish. We're going to use penne today when we cook our pasta. The other thing you can choose is your spaghetti sauce. There are lots of different choices out there. This one is a tomato basil sauce. This one is a roasted garlic sauce. They're both smooth. If you like chunky things in your pasta, this is diced tomatoes. It has garlic and olive oil in it. You can use that also to season your pasta. One of the additional ingredients in your pasta is garlic. You can put it in or leave it out, but if you decide to put it in, the easiest way to have it prepared for you is to buy it already chopped up in a jar. You can buy it usually in the produce section of your grocery. Looks like this. It's all cut up and you just measure it and put it into your pasta. But you can also chop your own pasta or chop your own garlic. Garlic comes like this it's called a bulb, and what you want is not the whole bulb, but just one piece of garlic. Can you hear it falling apart? It's covered in like a paper on the outside, and this is one clove of garlic. In order to peel that paper off, you don't want to eat it. You just put your garlic on a board and then you bang it. The paper then comes right off. See how it just slips away? And your garlic is all ready to just chop up. Do you see how my fingers are up on top and my other fingers are wrapped around the knife? They don't get anywhere near my chopped garlic, and I just go back and forth. Onions are another vegetable that are very good for spicing the foods that you eat, but they can be difficult because onions can make you cry. The fumes that come up from them will sting your eyes. If you can't deal with cutting up an onion, you can buy already cut onions in the store, and then you don't have to worry about it. Just scoop out what you need and leave the rest in the refrigerator. Or, I'm going to cut this onion. Notice I just cut it in half, and then I cut off each end, and then you can just reach on and grab the outside of it and peel it off. Just grab the outside layer. Onions come in layers, and if you just grab one layer and pull it off, that papery skin and anything that's not edible will just pull right off. I'm getting rid of all my extra trash so that I'm ready to be able to cut my onion. Now, if I were cutting it by hand, I'm going to keep my fingers, you see how my fingers are rolled? Keep my fingers out of the way and cut just like this. Then once they're down here, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the garlic. Hold it, my fingers on top to guide it. Hold the rest of the knife back at the handle and then cut it up until my onion is in nice little pieces. The other way to do this, though, if I just can't handle cutting and the fumes that come from it, this is an automatic cutter that I can just use to chop up the onions, and it doesn't get anywhere near my face. Or here's an electric chopper that will do it for you. Just be sure that you wash everything out when you're done. Take it apart and make it nice and clean. And see, this is actually maybe a little harder than doing it myself. But either way, I have nice cut up onions. Now that I've chosen my ingredients and prepared my ingredients, I'm ready to actually start cooking. The first thing I did was turn my burner up to medium-high heat. This is an electric burner, so you won't be able to see the flame, but if you had a gas burner, it doesn't go all the way up high. It comes down just a little bit, but it's still a pretty strong flame for you to start cooking on. I'm going to start, because I'm using turkey burger and it doesn't have a lot of natural juices, I'm going to put just a tablespoon of canola oil into my pan. Once I do that, I'm going to add the onion that we chopped together earlier. And I'm going to cook it until it's called translucent. Translucent is when you can sort of see through it, when the onion isn't white anymore, but hasn't started to turn brown yet. Once that happens, then I can add my garlic if I want to have garlic in my dish. You don't want to cook garlic as long as you cook onions because it can start to taste bad that way or get burned. So you don't leave it in quite as long. Now once those two things start, then I can add my meat. You can use hamburger, you can use turkey burger, you can also use tofu, or even leave it out altogether and just use vegetables in here. You'll notice when I poured it in that I was careful not to let the paper that's usually at the bottom of the meat holder get into the pan. Because my burner's a little further away for you to be able to see what I'm doing, I've got the handle turned toward me. But if you are cooking on a regular stove, you're going to want to have your handle turned into the stove so that the actual side of the stove will protect you from catching your clothes or your elbow on the burner or having a child or a pet come up and accidentally knock it over. As I cook this, and see how some of the meat is starting to turn brown and come up to the top. Okay, our meat now is all nice and browned, so we're going to take and add the spaghetti sauce. I'm putting a whole jar of spaghetti sauce in and half of the jar of water. I put the lid back on my jar of water and I'm going to shake it up so that you can see it gets all of the spaghetti sauce off of the sides of the jar for me. Cleans my jar and gets it ready for recycling. I'm going to stir this up so that the meat and the water and the sauce are all mixed together, and I'm going to let it get very hot. It should start to bubble, and that tells me that it's hot enough to put my next ingredients in. I like to keep my food as healthy as possible, so when I do pasta, I add spinach or carrots or little bits of broccoli, corn, peas, something to kind of give me some extra vitamins and minerals and another serving of vegetables. In this case, I'm putting shredded carrots in. They actually kind of disappear inside my spaghetti sauce. I used to fool my kids when they were little and not let them know that they were getting vegetables, because the carrots get nice and soft and they look like they're part of the tomato sauce. So you can see this is starting to bubble, and when it does, I take a half a bag of pasta. In this case, it fills up about 2 cups. You can see it's starting to bubble, and I just pour it in dry. The water that I put in with my spaghetti sauce is going to let the pasta cook and get nice and soft for you. So very carefully, kind of push your pasta down underneath the spaghetti sauce so that it can start sucking up all that moisture. As soon as that happens, I'm going to turn my flame down to low. We want this to cook very, very slowly. Now I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to leave it alone for about 30 minutes. My 1-pan pasta has been simmering for about 30 minutes now, and I can see, looking through the top of my glass lid, that my noodles have popped up and are nice and plump. That tells me that it's done. I want to turn off my heat to start with. If my lid is hot, I want to be sure to use a hot pad before I lift it up or hold the handle. Again, if you're new, you want to use a mitt on both hands. However, mine is a non-heated lid, so it isn't hot at all. Do you see that when I've lifted off the lid, though, I lifted it away from my face, not toward my face, so that I don't get the hot steam in my face. Now that I've taken the lid off, I'm going to carefully stir it up so that it all gets mixed together and the liquid gets evenly distributed. You can see there isn't a bunch of water or liquid here. Can you see that? Because it's all been soaked up into the pasta. I've put a little salad on my plate, and you'll notice I'm using a wooden spoon. This is a non-stick pan, and if I use a metal spoon in it, it will scratch the bottom and mess up the non-stick. I've moved my plate very close to my pan. I'm holding my pan with one hand. If I need my hot pad, I will use that, but this is a cold handle. And I'm going to go ahead and scoop up so that I don't get burned and I don't spill anything. Here's my pasta. Here's my salad. Maybe a little bread would finish off the meal, a glass of milk or a glass of water, and I have 1-pan pasta.